We're a bit D-Mob happy on ESC Fan TV. I have no idea what's going on. Can anybody see? Hello. ESC Fan TV. It's the end of the series and crikey, we've got so much to do. We're celebrating the 1974 Eurovision Song Contest. Come with us for the evening. Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. It's the last Retrovision in the series. We've chosen a really good one. We're going out on 1974, and I'd like to welcome my panel tonight. To that side, Tom.
Good evening, Andy. As you can see, I've dressed up for the occasion. Well, it makes a change, doesn't it? Here we are, end of a fantastic series. And I can't wait to take a glimpse at what 1974 has to offer this evening as well.
On the other side, we've got Gemma. Hello, Gemma. Welcome, Olivia Newton-John.
Good morning.
Let's have a look at
Good morning, good evening.
Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Sorry, have we got the sleeves going too?
Oh, yeah. and the Brighton nylon. And underneath Gemma, we've got Giulia Cinquetti.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao,
hi.
come
How
stai?
Bene, sì.
Molto bene. We've got Phil and Michelle. Phil has come as Anna, and Michelle has come as Frida. Welcome.
Hiya. Hello.
And we welcome Steve, who's come as Steve.
I've come as Steve. It's a bit of glitter, and I put my earrings in as well.
Your earrings? Wow.
Yeah. My little sleeve.
Steve is our Eurovision expert because he's been on this earth as long as Eurovision has.
Oh, I don't think I was the only one alive when this contest took place. We'll just leave it at that.
That might be just you and me, actually.
Yeah.
Since this is the final show, I have a co-présentateur. I'm delighted. We need some help. We're all a bit tired after the last 24 hours. And I'm going to hand you over to Tom, who's going to take us through the first few songs. Thank you, Tom.
Yes, I am. But do you know what, Andy? First of all, let's actually just take a moment. You know, this is the last one of the season. You're going to want to know when the season starts up again, guys. So, you should ding our bell, like and subscribe just down below, and hit the little bell button as well. And you can be notified when we go live next time as well. Now,
would you mind telling me?
Well, of course we'll tell you, Andy. You're going to be presenting them for a start.
Oh, for God's sake. But not for a while, surely.
I don't know. We might give you a couple of weeks off. Now, 1974. What a contest! Held in Brighton, held with the delightful Katie Boyle presenting for the fourth time, no less, as well, in her pink chiffon gown that basically needed everything kind of whipped from underneath it, including her knickers, we have to say as well. A famous story. And in actual fact, if you have ever seen any of the interviews with Katie Boyle, you may know that it's a story that she wheeled out every now and then. But it started off with two fantastic songs. First of all, we had the delightful Finland, and then it was the UK's turn. And Australia helping us out as well. Let's take a listen.
I need you, I must be certain. If you go away, you know there's nothing for me. Oh, long, long live love.
it's almost like the UK sent a song where you could actually continue to do the same arm action that Cliff taught everyone the year beforehand. Long, long live love. Anyway, Phil and Michelle, lovely to see you. Guys, what did you think of the first two songs from 74?
The Finland song, I thought it was. I mean, she had a great voice. She's singing well, playing the piano. It wasn't really my cup of tea. It was a nice enough song, I suppose. It's about a woman who wants a lover to keep her warm, with the promise of a bit more hanky in the summer months.
Well, that's why I keep you around, for keeping you warm, yeah.
Too cheap, obviously.
I really like the orchestra. I thought it was super, like a really super dramatic orchestral tune that went with it. It was all right. Yeah, I've heard worse. What about the UK?
Well, the UK, yeah, that was I mean, it's a good song. From what I understand, it wasn't Olivia Newton-John's favourite of the selection. She was given 6 songs to sing, and then the public voted by post, and she preferred the one that came in second place.
Yeah.
But it's the chorus is all a bit love, love, peace, peace, and the verse seems to be an advert for the Salvation Army band. It's a bit Jesus-y, but apart from that, it's a good rousing song. Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Didn't mind it. I thought her dress was, what was going on with that dress? She looked bloody awful. But apart from that, I think she sang better than she looked.
Oh, how can you say that when Gemma's dressed up as Olivia Newton-John just for the occasion?
Yeah, but Gemma's dress.
I thought it looked
nicer
lovely.
than
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's far nicer, but it took many hours to make this creation, and I feel like her dress took probably the same amount of time.
So there's a rumour that the dress cost £1,000 in 1974. Olivia Newton-John said, "I don't know when I'll ever get the chance to wear it again." I thought, well, every night.
But of course, I mean, let's be honest here. When I think in an old interview with Terry Wogan, once upon a time, he did say, you know, that if Olivia Newton-John failed to do well in the Eurovision Song Contest for the UK, that would be the end of her career. And of course, let's not forget, this was only 2 years before she went off and did Grease with John Travolta. I mean, it's amazing, you know, how her career kind of absolutely rocketed after it, which was absolutely brilliant. It's also amazing how when the UK picks an artist for a selection and gives them 8 songs, they always seem to like the one that comes in second place. Check Retrovision 1992. I believe we had a similar conversation.
I think what they should have done was to have given the artist a veto, but they never seem to do it.
No, it always seems a bit unpopular to do that bit, doesn't it? Gemma, I mean, Olivia Newton-John, obviously one of the greatest Australians. You know.
Of course. So we have this lovely relationship with Olivia Newton-John here in Australia because she grew up here, and then at the first chance she could at success, she ran off to the UK and disappeared. Didn't see her for a very, very long time. And then when her career started to come back down, she came back to Australia.
She's sort of British, isn't she?
Yeah, you know, her parents were British. I think she's got dual passports or something, citizenship or something. But again,
got her roots.
Australia will claim this as our own. 1974, we were in the contest. I don't want to hear anyone saying that we should be a part of it because we've been there.
Yeah, the only people that say that Australia shouldn't be part of Eurovision don't really like Eurovision or don't understand it.
Very true.
Now, people are messaging away in the chat, and Lee says, you know, does anyone know why they changed the voting method in 1972 and 73, then changed it again for 74, and then again for 75? And I think, Lee, what you're looking at there is the fallout from 1969, where there were 4 winners, and they spent about 5 years then experimenting for the ideal voting system. And if you look at the final table for 1974, you'll see that yes, there was a clear winner, but I mean the UK came joint fourth with 3 other countries, I think, and
And
so
the songs that came last, there were 4 songs that came last
Yeah.
as well.
it obviously wasn't a risk worth taking because there were countries that pulled out in 1970 just because there wasn't a clear-cut winner, and they thought there should have been as well.
But Tom, they tried out a different voting system during the rehearsals in 1974. It was similar to the one that they brought in 1975, but not quite the same. But it took so long, the BBC said viewers will switch off. So at the very last minute, after the last rehearsal, they went back to the old system of 10 jurors giving 1 point to each song they liked.
How interesting. I did not know that.
Similar to the dilemma we face now, though, isn't it? Because we have a televote separate and we've got a jury vote separate, and they're always looking now at a way that can combine 2 in a happy marriage, but still retain some of that
I
12-point
can solve
system.
that like that for anyone. It's very simple. If you don't get through to the grand final, you don't get a vote. Simple. Now, let's move on.
Controversial.
Very.
Controversial, but I think it'd save a lot of time. Now, let's move on. Spain, Norway, and Greece. Let's take a
Oh,
listen.
wow.
Changing the tide every hour. We are clearing the sky up above. And we know that. Ligo Brasiligo para sai che cavoli mu. Ligo Brasiligo para sai che cavoli mu.
Now, I think imagery is very important when we come to these songs. And, you know, and I'm hoping some of the panel are going to agree with me when I suggest that the Spanish song should be enjoyed maybe sitting on the veranda with some sangria, maybe some tapas, maybe the song just playing in the background as you're having a nice leisurely evening with friends. Donna, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I'd agree with you on that, with a nice bottle of a red sitting on a veranda somewhere, or even in a nice Spanish restaurant. It's got that feel to it, hasn't it?
It has. It has. Very, very nice. You know, maybe it's just because all the restaurants are shut at the moment and I'm craving a meal out. But do you know what? I think it's just, I think it would be ideal. Now, obviously, Norway came joint last, sob. But do you know what? I don't know what the panel think about this. I'm going to go to Steve. I'm not entirely sure this was deserved. I think the song deserved a lot better.
It was actually one of the favourites on the night, I remember, and I thought, and they were in it the year before and came 7th. So I was quite surprised it finished as low as it did, but it's one of a number of Norwegian songs that just didn't do well. But I thought it was okay, actually. I thought it was nicely sung, well performed. I can't understand why it finished last, to be honest.
And I loved, tell you what I really enjoyed, the chord progressions, but then that's my musical background coming out there. Some very nice kind of building up there.
They weren't nice.
Can't remember the technical language. Maybe Andy would help us out.
Lots of diminished chords.
There we go. Diminished chords.
We'll
See?
believe you, Andy.
And then, of course, there was one debutante country. Does anyone know what the debutante country was?
Greece.
La Grec.
It was
And
Greece,
Cyprus would always get 12 points, mostly, ever since. Gemma, what did you make to the Greek song?
Oh, don't ask her. It's not fair.
Oh,
We've asked everybody to be nice about the songs.
The one thing I wrote down was, did she want to do up one more button on her shirt?
oh, and I'm sure she would do. But I have to say, it's the song that I thought would be the ideal accompaniment as I was getting slowly more and more plastered whilst eating tapas on the veranda.
Did you have more la la la's than Ireland? Did anybody count? Steve, you're an expert.
I didn't count, but I love the way she looks so pissed off as the instrumental bit is, and she just stands there looking really like with a face slapped arse, really. But it was a nice. She was, wasn't she? And
She
all
was
the
slightly, yes.
had clothing on that was just a little bit too tight for them. It's as though they put on another stone from the first rehearsal to the actual show.
I also know a few people that wear that outfit on a regular basis for work. It's just got that look, hasn't it? That's come back round again with the stripes, try and make you look thinner, but it's a bit too tight, and it's great for a job.
And Phil,
I love the Bazooki. Love the Bazooki.
And Phil, what did you think?
It was a bit odd, but it was a last-minute substitution, wasn't it? From what I understand, the Greeks had a national final, and a band called Nostradamus won that, but they were withdrawn at the last minute because there was some sort of sex scandal with one of the members of the band and an underage fan or something. So it was kind of a last-minute thing.
But Michelle's come in Greek colours, so that's a start. We're being nice to everybody tonight.
Yes.
Now, obviously, before I hand back to Andy, we have got a hive of activity in the green room. Hi to John, hi to Neil. We've got Jude in there, Alina, Lee. We've got Stu. We've got Benjamin in there. Loads of people. A quick question for Gemma from Neil, because I don't know the answer to this one. When did Australia start watching live?
10 years later in 1984. So we had to watch the BBC commentary until 2000, and then we sent our own commentators.
So 1984, you were watching live just in time to see the Herries dancing in their golden shoes.
Oh, not live. We would have a Eurovision weekend. They would play it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. So we didn't get it live until 2015 when we first started competing.
Oh, so not actually live until... Wow.
But then again, it would be appearing at a really early time in the morning for you guys, wouldn't it?
Yep, 5 a.m. So we had the weekends where it was broadcast later.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is that Gemma can get up at 5 a.m. to do a Retrovision show. I mean, why couldn't Australia get up to watch Eurovision live? See what
I ask this question all the time.
A very good point.
Andy, over to you.
Over to me?
Yeah, over to you.
I'm going to introduce the next 4 songs. We've got Israel, Yugoslavia, and Sweden. And what a shock to the Eurovision Song Contest with these. So I don't think Eurovision had ever seen anything like those 3 songs, one after another. A shock to the senses when you're really used to listening to a man in a suit, woman in a long dress. Steve?
Oh, I love all 3 of these. I think it was just Israel's entry, but it's a bit like a trip to the kibbutz, wasn't it? It was just had that kind of very Israeli feel to it, very ethnic. But Yugoslavia was fantastic. You know, the sound of bombs dropping at the beginning and the end, and really, really well sung. I didn't think I'd ever see. I remember 1974 very clearly, and I never thought we'd ever see a song like that. And of course, ABBA is just fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and it's not even one of their best songs. So I love all 3 of them.
Do you think the Yugoslavian song could fit in a contest these days? I mean, it'd be retro.
Yeah, I actually think it could, with a bit of adaptation. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic song.
So, Gemma, these are long before you were born. How do you perceive these 3 songs?
Well, my first thought was I feel sorry for the poor running order, because you are getting bombarded with 2 boy bands, basically, and then you've got ABBA. Like, they didn't want to break it up with anything, a little song in between. They've just stuck the 3 right together. But was it Israel's I was like, man, this is quite good. They're wearing, they actually look cleaner than the Yugoslavian guys in their flashy, space outfits almost. But I feel like every guy coming out of quarantine is going to look like these bands. All the guys are going to have the really long hair, dying to get to the hairdresser to, cut it all off. So it's a bit fitting for now.
Yeah, can I tell you a secret? I mean, I was 13, I think, in 1974, and I had a little cassette recorder and an earplug, and I recorded the previews off the television, and I listened to them, and I was really excited. It was the first year I'd ever been able to listen to the songs beforehand. I liked them all. I liked Israel. I liked Yugoslavia. But I hated Waterloo. I couldn't stand it. It was just like a noise to me, and I thought it was going to come dead last. When the song won, I went to bed thinking, I'm never going to watch Eurovision again. That is just, it's awful. What the hell happened? And
You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready. And so I listened through all the other songs, feeling really sad that Eurovision had sort of collapsed in that way. And then I thought, I'll listen to it again. And I listened to it again and thought, and I listened to it again, and by the next day, I thought it was the most fantastic song in the world. It was just strange. And looking back now, I think, well, it's just such a middle of the road song. But at the time, it was really out there.
It was glam rock, wasn't it? Really, like the Sweets, who were popular at the time.
I didn't see it as that though, because I didn't like glam rock. It was I like girls. I like the girl singers in the long dresses. It was a big shock to my system.
So you say middle of the road song, but here they just play it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a day where we don't hear an ABBA song.
Yeah,
We really don't.
You'll still always find it at the student discos and things like that.
Yeah, you never need to put an ABBA record on to play because you hear them so often, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Just after ABBA, we went back to typical Eurovision 1974. Luxembourg deciding they definitely didn't want to win. Monaco and Belgium, we had 3 French language songs in a row. You don't get that these days. And I'm sorry, but I'm just desperately searching for this because, this is not 1977. We expect better production values. And that wasn't it, was it?
Well, it was.
Oh, it was.
It was.
All right, well, we'll go back. Okay, now I have chosen, sorry, this is a bit short strawy, but Steve and Tom are going to talk about these 3 entries, but let's not talk about the songs. Let's draw a veil over those. Talk about the dress sense, the fashion.
Oh dear.
Tom, you kick off.
I was going to say, first of all, Andy, let's not forget 3 French songs in a row. That block of Frenchness there running through because, of course, France weren't there because a poor President Pompidou had passed away shortly before the contest, and therefore France had withdrawn, which, may be why the French songs did quite well. I also find it slightly confusing why Luxembourg sent a song in French but called it Bye Bye I Love You, which is in English. I mean, that seems a bit like a trick. But I have to say, I have a sneaking admiration for the Monaco entry, because yes, maybe the guy's dress sense is not accompanying our current era. I'm sure it was very up to date, but it was a song with a lot of heart. I thought I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought that was certainly one to listen again to.
It was a fashion no-no, though, wasn't it? And did you notice that Monaco and Luxembourg had exactly the same backing singers. So I think they all came with in a job lot or something. And the collar on that Belgian entrant was just, I mean, it was the era of big collars in those days, wasn't it?
Really
And
was,
Irene
wasn't it?
Shear,
It's out here.
I
Yeah.
notice you've done a homage this evening, Steve.
Well, and Irene Shear singing French in an Essex accent as well, I think was probably, you know, not the greatest. Not the greatest.
She returned in 1978 and came fourth with Feuer singing for Germany and an Essex accent singing German.
Essex accent.
You know what my favorite thing was? I don't know what preview you guys watched, but the commentary I was listening to, the commentator's gone, this is for Luxembourg, it's gone, this is this young lady here is the best discovery in pop music in the last year or something. And I was like, oh, you want to say that right after ABBA just came on?
Good point. Yeah.
Yes, but they weren't to know then. They were
Right,
just
little did he know.
I agree with Tom. I think Monaco is not a bad song, and it was written by the winner, the person that wrote their winner in 1971. I think that was the best of the three. But Irene Shear was one of the favourites at the time, and it wasn't all that, was it?
No, it's one of my least favourite of those three, actually. I quite like the Belgian one. I just like the rhythms of the song as well. Sorry. I have a particular taste.
You're free to like anything you like. That is the beauty of Eurovision, isn't it?
Exactly.
We don't all like the same songs, and if we did, it would be boring. Right. Well, anyway, you cannot. Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, Lee in the chat room has commented that Malta only sent one entry in Maltese, and that was when they debuted in 1971. But they were going to send an entry in Maltese to 1974, but they withdrew.
Oh yes.
They didn't give a reason, did they, for withdrawing?
No, it was Pasi Fid Dinja, which I've probably pronounced horribly wrong, but it means peace in the world.
Oh.
Tunisia was also.
They did 7-1 in Maltese to 1972 as well, which also came last, like their 1971 one.
Mm-hmm. But did Tunisia also was going to appear in 1974 and then withdrew at the last moment? So.
I think that was 77.
Oh, it was at 77. Really, my P45 is in the post.
The years are just merging, aren't they, Andy? They're just...
The years are merging. I feel so guilty about not having a clip of the 1974 French song, which a lot of people thought could have won, that I'm going to pass over to Tom, my co-présentateur, and I shall go and find it.
Hey,
Tom. Take it away.
Well, of course, everyone. Thank you very much, Andy. Everyone knows, or does everyone know, that one of the big favourites of 1974 was, of course, the Netherlands. Now they had Mouth and McNeil representing them, and let's face it, it's a beautiful song. This one, I See a Star, and we're going to take a listen to that in just a moment. But also, we're going to be taking a look alongside that, the lovely Ireland, and I've got a little tale to tell before that as well. Let's take a listen anyway.
I see a star, a brand new star. It's bright and twinkling in your eyes. I see a face, a happy face. Cross your heart and hope to die.
Ah, some classic moments there. Phil and Michelle, just walk us through the Netherlands. I mean, surely this is iconic.
It's this stuff a nightmare, isn't it?
It's bonkers, isn't it? It's like Ray Wood and Rick Wizard meets Rod, Jane and Freddie from Rainbow.
I thought it looked like Dave Lee Travis.
Well, it's a good sort of umpire jelly song.
I loved it. So it was brilliant.
It's apparently Mr. Mouth in an interview once claimed that it was about comparing falling in love with smoking dope. And when he starts going on the barrel organ and the puppet starts spinning around, you can sort of see it's a bit. You must be really high.
Yeah, you've got to be off your tits to do something like that.
Properly understand it and enjoy it. But yeah, it's a corking song.
Can you imagine if you were on drugs though, watching that? It would be like it would be the best thing ever, and you'd be going, "Well, why has nobody ever thought of this before?"
Oh.
There aren't enough barrel organs in Eurovision.
No,
I think we
bring
need more
on the barrel organs. That's what we say.
It would certainly make a change, wouldn't it? Now, of course, the one the interesting story I think lies more potentially with the Irish entry. Now, in 1973, Maxi represented Ireland with is it "Do I Dream"? I can sing it. I can't remember the title. Never mind, that's my own fault. But the point is, she had a bust up with Radio Televiseren, and they sent out another singer called Tina Reynolds, and basically said, if you won't get up and sing the song, she will. Now, it all worked out. Maxi represented Ireland that year, and in actual fact, if you listen to Maxi talk about it, she does actually say it was all very well them giving her the choice, but quite frankly, the dress didn't fit her, and she didn't have the security privileges to get into the place where the 73 contest was being held anyway. So it was a non-starting threat. But Tina went to represent Ireland in Brighton in 1974. But she was in a car accident and still recovering, and the BBC refused to allow her an auto cue, even though she was recovering from the car accident that year. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why the songs had a lot of Lars there ready and waiting for her, because she was still, you know, not in the best of health. Jude says Ireland's dress is ahead of its time, but I mean, Donna, let's just go to you quickly on Ireland.
Oh my lord! When I first saw this, my first thought was, "Oh my god, has anyone told her she's put it on backwards?" Because it really does look a little bit revealing, like it should clasp at the back rather than at the front. But I mean, it's cross your heart, isn't it? The cross your heart bras were being invented around the same time. Great advert for those. Although I don't think she was probably wearing one, but it actually is great. I mean, you still see that similar cross design in a lot of clubs today. So what goes around comes around.
This is true. This is true. And Gemma, what did you make of the Irish fashion sense?
I thought it was great. Whereas, like, why is everyone joking? You can wear that now and you can get away with it. You could see that on a red carpet anywhere. Go for it, girl.
Hey.
She does wear it well.
She does. And Phil and Michelle, what
You
about
wouldn't
the
even
song?
know she was in a car accident.
No.
Well, Phil and Michelle, what about the song?
It was a nice enough song, and she sang it well. It was
There was a lot of Lars.
It was a lot of Lars. It was maybe a little bit twee for my taste, you know.
It was another umpire one, and by that point, I'd had enough umpire. Quite frankly,
the reference. There's a lot of references to children's songs, weren't there? You know, Sticks and Stones and things like that. But you know, yeah, it was a nice song. It's pretty good, and you know, all credit to her.
I couldn't stop looking at her dress. I couldn't believe how amazing her body was. But then the face didn't sort of match, and I was sort of obsessed with it. I even wrote down Bob Fuck in my book because I just couldn't believe it.
If you don't know what that is, it's body off Baywatch, face off Crime Watch.
Oh dear. Do you know what? I think on that note, we're just gonna move on. Andy, it's a good job you're back, because
I am back, yes.
I do believe QVT, it's Germany and Switzerland.
Die sagt, du bist nicht frei. Und die verteilte Rosen liegt. Nach mir soll wie ein Strahl der unsere Liebe leuchtet.
Andy, what did you think?
Well, I think you have to put aside the assault to the visual senses from the lime green clothes they were wearing. I like both of these songs. I really like them. German songs really didn't do very well in Eurovision at all. They had one win with Austria. I like these, and they both came sort of last. Really can't explain it. Lovely melodies. The German language is not best suited to ballads, I have to say. But yeah, I would have put these up. I would say these were better than Long Live Love. They were better than Bye Bye I Love You, but they did nothing. It's the way it goes sometimes.
Oh, well, and do you know what? I thought Germany and Switzerland, I mean, they were okay. I think we just have to remember that the colour scheme at the time wasn't necessarily the neutral schemes that we see now. I think.
Indeed, you would find these colours on toilets.
Do you know what? I do remember when I was a kid, many moons ago now, that my parents had a lime green bath set.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still know where there is one, still in place. It's faring well.
I hope that's not your flat.
It's not our flat, no.
I'll tell you what, guys. Let's just leave the German language behind. We are actually at the final 2 songs. Now, obviously, these are perhaps, alongside ABBA, 2 of the most noted songs from 1974. One started a revolution, and one wasn't even allowed to be broadcast live because it was going to influence, potentially, the outcome of a referendum. Ooh. See if you can guess.
Tell me about it. How did this work?
One song in radio.
What was the
After
song
that,
called?
Goodbye.
Oh,
That was brief.
that was the Portuguese song. Do we have a clip of the Italy song as well, Andy?
We do. It's coming up any second now.
On into the land of the package holidays.
That's not that. Talk about the Portuguese song.
Okay. Well, the Portuguese song, obviously, yes, it did start a revolution. I think it was very inadvertent. It wasn't intended through the song. Unfortunately, songs like this come around occasionally where you always, as a fan, trying to deny that anything political goes on to do with the contest, and then all of a sudden something like this comes up, and it's nothing to do with the lyrics at all. It's a man who's faced with looking at the end of a relationship with a lover, and it's all too brief, and it's he likens it to picking a flower. It was that brief, but it was still beautiful. And how you think that would spark off a revolution, I'll never know, but it did. And
it was called the Carnation Revolution.
Yes, the soldiers didn't really get a chance to fire off any guns. It was quite peaceful, actually. And one of the pacifist ladies, Castelli Chiero, actually gave out flowers on a flower market, and they put them in the end of the barrels of their guns to symbolize peace. So it was all done in the best possible way, really. I think Wikipedia said there were only 4 deaths that they noted. But it brought about the second revolution. They'd had enough of conservatism at the time and needed a bit of rebellion.
Can we have a rebellion then?
Now, obviously, that solves what, which one's which, because that obviously means the Italy song was actually not broadcast in Italy because it might influence the outcome of a referendum. I wonder why.
Non ho l'età, non ho l'età. Sì, dolcemente sì. Sweden 10.
12 punti, 12 punti.
8 points.
Israel 7 points.
Israel with
7.
Israel.
See.
Dolcemente dici. Sì.
Oh, I'm sure she wouldn't like to be reminded of that moment in '92.
It wasn't her fault, in fairness, was it?
I know, Toto, bless him. She did a sterling job on that one, and obviously, being two winners of Italy, they got the chance to host, and it could have been better. But this song I thought was beautiful. Clearly, Giola actually had represented first time round in '64. Is that correct? With Nonoleta, won for her country, and it's such a beautiful song. That song, it's one of those that is high up on the list of the all-time winners. See our champions show earlier. And then they thought, why not give her a second go? So we got this time a song called Si. And yeah, she actually just says Si about 30 or so times during the show, during the song, sorry. And the Italian government were due to hold a referendum on a divorce bill at the time. And even though they knew about this a long time in advance, yet they still thought this was a great song to send forward. And they decided at the last minute, this could actually influence votes because there are many repetitions of the word yes. So people could potentially say, yes, we want this bill, because it subliminally has been played over and over again in their minds, and that'll influence them. Yet the actual themes of the song are about a moment in a girl's life when she's actually ready to commit to someone and say, yes, I will marry you and be with you for the rest of my life. So ironically, it's the opposite message that she was conveying rather than that, but never mind. So it actually took over a month for it to get played on any Italian TV or radio, and it was banned completely until after the bill.
And do you know the result of the bill?
No, actually, I don't. So I don't know whether it would have influenced it. Do you know, Andy?
No, I don't know. And I'm not going to find out. I'm sorry, I'm really not going to find out.
I'm so sorry I didn't find out that. But it's such a shame because it actually, it's not very well known in Italy because of it. It never got the immediate response in the charts or even in the European charts that a song would normally do after being premiered at Eurovision.
Giola is only known for Nonoleta.
Yeah, in some ways that's good because it was a much better song. But
no, it wasn't.
It was, in my opinion. But
no,
we all have different opinions.
Can we just say, the answer to the crucial question? In actual fact, the divorce bill that was presented in that referendum did not pass. 59% voted no.
It was very close then, so it could have actually influenced it. It could have done.
And actually, Giuliola's song finished in the top 10 of the British charts as well, didn't it? In an English version.
It did.
Yeah, there was various versions of it, and it's called "Go Before You Break My Heart" is the English version, and it got to number 8 in the UK charts. And considering it didn't do well throughout Europe, it did really well in the UK, which is not normal for most.
Nikki French does a lovely version.
She does.
I must hear that.
Now, can we just...
From the sublime to the ridiculous, Tom?
I was going to say, I'm reminded, I don't know if anyone watching or any of the panel remembers a British sitcom, The Vicar of Dibley. And there was the village idiot style character, Alice, who was going to interview her potential father-in-law, the chairman of the parish council, and she says to the vicar, here's my question. What do you think? I thought I'd go hard hitting. And it's like, Mr. Horton, sir, if you could be anyone from history, which Womble would you be? Let's take a look. I mean, let's be honest, absolutely amazing. Kids all over Britain must have loved this because they were at the height of their popularity. And certainly, I think, as a Eurovision interval act, it's certainly one of the more memorable out there, because I think everyone can remember that time Uncle Bulgaria got on stage. You know, having travelled perhaps a little bit further than Wimbledon Common. But Steve, come on, the Wombles, clearly an iconic interval act.
I'm sorry, but Steve's only just started coming on the show. He didn't come on to talk about the Wombles, did you?
I was probably a little bit too old for the Wombles at the time. I think I was about 16 or 17 when this took place.
At least.
Oh, I bet they're a guilty pleasure for you, weren't they, Steve?
In which case,
Very
Andy...
Fuck off. Michelle, did your children like the Wombles?
What, me?
Yeah, your children.
Nicole did, didn't she?
Yeah.
Nicole did.
Yeah, she used to sing it karaoke.
Yeah.
Remember You're a Womble.
Phil and Nicole used to sing "Remember You're a Womble" at karaoke. Yeah. She's now 24.
I loved the Wombles when I was little.
When the Eurovision happened, I was 2 days old. So I was a bit young for it.
But listen, does anybody know why the Wombles were the interval act in 1974?
Not actually why.
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the TV series, I think, came out in 73. So Mike Batt starting to, I think he claimed the rights to them instead of getting royalties for the music when he wrote the theme tune. So it would make sense that he'd want to promote them as a musical act. So I don't know whether he made an agreement with the BBC, maybe? Do you know, Andy?
Well, no, I don't. I was just wondering whether the BBC thought they might be able to sell the franchise abroad by showing it during Eurovision.
Possibly.
Now, another question. Why didn't the BBC enter the Wombles for Eurovision? Gemma,
because they had Olivia Newton-John, obviously.
Well, but they had Olivia Newton-John, but the following year, instead of the Shadows, they could have sent the Wombles. You know, they would have been the 1970s version of Lordy.
They would have been kicked out.
Yeah, they would. Fair enough.
Can we just share this? Gustav says, I have no idea what a Wombles is.
Okay, think of the Moomins. Very similar to the Moomins. Yeah.
They didn't make it to Sweden, but they made it to Australia.
Yay!
Oh.
But yes, they were a bit like the Moomins in that kind of sense, because they are little recyclers, aren't they, on Wimbledon Common? That's the little backstory.
Yes. Underground, overground, wombling free. The Wombles of Wimbledon, common are we.
Yeah. So if you like the Moomins, Gustav, you'll like the Wombles. Go and look them up.
Things that the everyday behind. Sorry, this is really terrible. I didn't watch English television in the 1970s, British television. Sorry, Donna.
As Campbell says, I think there were more than 6 Wombles, so Uncle Bulgaria might have had to sit out.
I don't know about that.
We spent far too much time talking about a bunch of puppets. Let's talk about a Muppet. Commentary 1974. It was beyond embarrassing. Poor old David Vine. I mean, he was a man of his time. I did have to look up to just to check that he hadn't ended up in jail, because quite a lot of Eurovision commentators and people of the 70s did, but he didn't. He's passed away since. He was a football commentator, and he really didn't put much attention into his Eurovision rehearsals. Let's have a listen.
On into the land of the package holidays. Norway, the capital city of Oslo, of course, the place where they drink the akvavit. They made their first record in 1972, and if all the judges were men, which they're not, I'm sure this group would get a lot of votes. You'll see why in a minute. Their song is called, and it's Napoleon. Napoleon, no wonder their song is called Waterloo. This is Sven Olaf
Waldorf. But it will always be remembered for introducing Sven Olaf as the conductor for Sweden. Steve, do you miss conductors?
Not really. I mean, I sometimes miss the orchestras, but I think it is probably better to have backing tracks these days.
Now, why do you say that?
Because I think I can remember songs. I mean, Luxembourg in 1984 were the favourites to go through. I mean, she had a bad voice as well, which didn't help. I think sometimes songs sound better with backing tracks. Even then. I think sometimes we just miss what we don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also true. Somebody's missing their earring that's just fallen off.
Why?
Sorry, the wind just picked up here.
Oh dear.
Right. I've got a treat.
Everything just fell down.
I've got a treat for anybody that hasn't seen ABBA's previous entries to Melody Festival and that didn't get through, of Bjorn and Benny's. Here's 3 versions of songs that you might not know.
Stolar nästan som ett moln. Inte ringer du och säger älskling nu som du gjorde. Historien upprepar sig. Waterloo, jag är besegrad, du ger mig.
They got an awful lot of use out of those costumes, didn't they?
But it's just not the same in Swedish, is it?
It really is it?
No, and Ring Ring, the singing was a bit off.
Doesn't have
Michelle, what do you have to say about that? How can you explain it?
Well, everyone's a bit shit before they get good, aren't they?
That's true.
That's a spot-on explanation, I think.
Yeah,
So-
can't better that.
No, can you give us a few lines of Ring Ring in Swedish?
No.
No, you know this isn't a documentary, don't you?
Right. Katie Boyle,
Oh, Katie.
Miss Eurovision. Catherine Boyle, Miss Eurovision. Let's have a look at her finest moments.
On behalf of the BBC, I'd like to welcome you all to the 5th annual Eurovision Song Contest. There's the telephone again. Hello? So that is the final result. Right.
Vous voulez me redire vos voix, s'il vous plaît, depuis le commencement. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this, the 19th Eurovision Song Contest, coming to you from the Dome in Brighton.
Such a heroine of Eurovision, sadly passed away. Nothing we need to say about that. I'm going to hand you over to my co-présentateur, Tom.
Yes. This is not just, guys, the final Retrovision, but this is kind of like the final Eurovision show for ESC Fan TV this season as we enter a somewhat bizarre closed season, given the circumstances. But us here at Retrovision would like to offer a couple of thanks. And first of all, we'd like to say a massive thanks to Jo, who's been on a couple of Retrovisions. You will have seen her. And Michelle has got a token of appreciation in terms of some flowers. There we go. Because she's the one that schedules us all and gets us all organised and makes sure that we're all here and we know basically where we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing. And we love you lots for it. So, mwah.
It wouldn't work without somebody
Exactly.
doing that, because it is a job nobody wants to take on.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jo.
No.
Cheers,
Big-
Jo.
No,
Big
no.
thanks.
Michelle, you're doing it next year.
I'm not.
I've given everybody your email address.
And of course,
No.
and of course, the other person we do need to thank, because they have a wig collection that rivals no other, is the wonderful Stuart, who isn't with us today. I think this was a wig too far. But he has been a fantastic drag queen over the series. Something only Andy could maybe
No, that was
aspire
a
to.
joke. I didn't mean you to really say that.
This is what happens when you give me a script, Andy.
I put it into bracket. What you should be saying is, yeah, we couldn't have done this without you. You've been a rock from start to finish. You've created something that has been fabulous. Thousands of people watch these shows. They take the piss out of us. We take the piss out of them. It's all done in a loving way. We love you. We love Eurovision. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's what you meant to say.
But he also makes a good drag queen. I don't think there was anything wrong with what I said.
That is also true, but yeah.
So,
but his wife might be watching tonight.
And of course, we should thank Andy as well, because I know Andy puts a lot of effort into these shows as well. So we're going to share some love for Andy as well.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, thank you, Tom. We've got to thank Tom. Michelle and Phil. We've got to thank Michelle and Phil. And Donna and Ian, who's not quite here.
No, he's not here today.
I mean, Gemma, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, for fuck's sake. Steve, we'll thank you next season because you only came on at the end. So you deserve a tiny thanks.
Now,
all right, well, thank you anyway.
We've been
being generous. Thank you.
We've been rattling through the thank yous, but thank you to everyone as well that's been joining in the chat room. Lee says, when will we be back? There will be new content coming to the channel soon, but we're taking a break for at least a week before we come up with some new stuff. I think just to refresh ourselves and keep the content fresh. Let's face it, there's only another 55 contests to do Retrovision on. I mean, that's at least another 6 series, right? Also, it's been great to see your comments in the chat room as well. Lee says, thank you so much, guys. Campbell said it's been a wonderful journey. Jude is just sorry she found this channel so late, but that's fine, Jude, because it's all available on YouTube and you can catch up and watch it. So in actual fact, you probably have a whole raft of Retrovisions to watch. Not just this season.
Don't put her off.
Not just this season, but the first season as well, where we looked at contests such as 1969, 1997, and 1976.
Oh, and the one in black and white.
And 1963, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. I was paying attention. Apparently, I was present for all of them. Now. No, seriously though, massive thanks. It is ESC Fan TV. It wouldn't be ESC Fan TV without everyone taking part, which is exactly what it's all about. Oh, I'm feeling quite emotional, Andy. I think you're going to have to take over.
There's nothing left to say other than thank you all so much. I mean, we have great fun doing this, but it would be no fun if people weren't enjoying what we do. So let's all say one final thank you and goodbye and au revoir and Eurovision. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.